to say you just check in with Steve Gelbs. That's not given nearly enough credit for who we've got right here. David Wright, the captain, joining us. David, always great to see you, and because I love talking to you about how long it's been. You know that it's 20 years since you made your Mets debut?
Both of us are getting older, and I think we're both being overshadowed by Mr. and Miss Met that just walked in. So, you know, they have the floor right now, but time flies. I mean, it just feels like yesterday. And to come back, I mean, as I get older, I feel like I'm getting more sentimental and emotional, and every time I walk in this place, the reception, the reaction, you know, it just makes me feel so great and love the fact that I was a lifelong Met.
And one of the reasons that you're here is to talk about why you're going to be back here in a month and a half, September 12th, Battle of the Badges game, which I know holds a really special place in your heart as well.
I grew up in a police household. You know, I learned at a very young age that the true heroes in the community are the first responders, and in particular the firefighters and the police officers. So to be able to host that game again, to be the commissioner, September 12th, $20 a ticket, the majority of that going to charities of the police department, the fire department's choice. One of the events of the summer that I legitimately circle early on and wouldn't miss it for the world.
Well, we look forward to that. And David, one of the things that I'm really excited about is that we have you here today on trade deadline day, because, you know, I think from the perspective of clubhouse chemistry, you were always so high on it and big into its importance. And this is a team right now that's got a ton of chemistry. In your opinion and your experience, how can the trade deadline affect a really good clubhouse, both in a positive way and a negative way? How careful do you have to be as a front office?
Yeah, well, let me tell you, I love what David Stearns did. Is you don't lose any of the top prospects, you make the team better. So kudos to him and his staff for putting together what I think is a great trade deadline. Some great trade deadline moves. And speaking from a player in the clubhouse, you know, in 2015, Yoenis Cespedes obviously gets a lot of the credit for coming in and providing that instant spark. But, you know, the Kelly Johnsons, the Juan Uribes, the Tyler Clipperts, the guys that not just come perform on the field, but also you know, provide that stability and that leadership in the clubhouse, I think is incredibly important. So these guys should feel like they have the backing of ownership, backing of the front office, and to make moves like that shows that the front office and ownership believes in them and that they're a playoff team.
Royce Lewis looks like he's doing okay after turning his ankle on that previous pitch. David, one of the things that I don't think enough people know about or remember is in 2016, Brandon Nimmo was essentially traded to the Reds for Jay Bruce. And he always tells a story about going into the cages with you and you having a conversation with him about how, hey, you got to view this as a good thing, not a negative thing. What do you remember about that conversation with a then traded Brandon Nimmo?
Well, to me, you know, you want to get in the foxhole with those types of guys, the guys that want to be here. You know, you mentioned Brandon Nimmo, I'll mention Wilmer Flores. You know, guys that put a lot of pride in putting that uniform on. And I think that's what's so important about having these homegrown guys, is it means a little bit more when you put that Mets uniform on. You're going out and playing for the team that gave you your first chance, developed you, gave you your first chance in the big leagues. So, you know, when I was one of the leaders on the team, those are the types of guys that you wanted around, or the guys that, you know, came in and took the honor of being a New York Met very seriously and wanted to be a New York Met.
What does it mean to you to see what he's become from where he was back then?
He's, if not the leader, one of the leaders in that clubhouse. It's really fun to see how he's evolved as a player, but also a leader and a teammate. You know, I can't say enough good things about Brandon. He's one of my favorite players that I played with, one of my favorite players now to watch, and I think that he provides that role model. If, you know, with my kids, when I have my son watch the games, you know, they have a lot of them, but I'll say, you know, you see Brandon Nimmo, like, that's the way you should play the game, and that's the way you should go about your business. So I can't say enough good things.
David, I know you spent some time the last couple of springs with Mark Vientos, and it's been an up and down road for him just to get here. But now that he's here performing this way, what did you talk about in those instances, and how happy are you for what you've seen out of him?
I love it. I taught him everything he knows. You know, spring training, we got to work early in the morning. We stayed till dusk. You know, no, he's a tremendous young man. You know, a guy that obviously is, you say ups and downs. It's been a lot of ups this year. So it's been fun to watch him play, go out there and dominate, and a guy that you can count on in the middle of the order. So, you know, it's great to see young players that, you know, when they come up to you and ask you baseball questions, or come up to you and ask you, you know, questions about the organization, questions about the city, and he's one of those guys that, you know, you could tell when he comes up and says hello and wants to talk baseball, it's not just to do it, that he really wants to get something out of it.
All right, well, he puts this one in his pocket with 2 outs here and a base runner now as Santana reaches first on the infield single. You got to work with him, David. I will send it back to you, Gary, in 1 second, but really quickly, most important question, what'd you think of Murph?
A plus. A plus. Now I'm gonna have to get a translator the next time to figure out exactly what he's saying about hitting. But other than that, I think he gets a plus, and I hope to see him more often because I'm learning things. You know, Gary, Keith, and Ron, and yourself are, you know, the knowledge is flowing. You know, but you know, you tune into Murph, and you just you know, you could tell he's very passionate about hitting, and you know, I really enjoyed him being up there.
Certainly has his own language, but he's been great. David, always fantastic to see you. Thanks so much.
Mr. Gelbs, thanks a lot.
All right, September 12th, Battle of the Badges.
Hey, tell him he's next, Steve.
Gary wanted me to tell you that you are next, and you don't have a choice in the matter.
Okay, I can't say no to Gary. So if Gary says it, it's a fact.
You know what I did say to him when we're in LA, come into the booth. He said, I'm going to be in Virginia. I don't know if he's telling the truth, though.
I don't want to have to make Ronnie move again, you know?
All right, guys, back to you.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, David.